And now we move on to our second leading story. Cholera is said to kill an estimated 95,000 people and affect 2.9 million more every year. And with urgent action needed to protect communities, prevent transmission and control outbreaks, an ambitious new strategy to reduce deaths from cholera by 90% by the year 2030 has been launched by the World Health Organization, WHO's Global Task Force on Cholera Control, GTFCC. The GTFCC is a diverse network of more than 50 UN and international agencies, academic institutions and NGOs that support countries affected by the disease. The project Ending Cholera, a global roadmap to year 2030, recognizes that cholera spreads in endemic hotspots where predictable outbreaks of the disease occur yearly.
The global fight against cholera is now an emergency. The worst affected continent is Africa, where 40 to 80 million people live in areas where the risk of contracting cholera is high. Today, several countries, including the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, Nigeria, Somalia, Ethiopia and Kenya, are highly affected. Since the beginning of 2017, the DRC has reported 528 deaths in 20 of its 26 provinces. In Nigeria, cholera in the Kwara state is spreading to other parts of the country, and Chad is fighting an epidemic along the Sudanese and Central African borders. The Horn of Africa is also affected, and in Somalia, cholera.
And now we speak with Tariq Jasirevich, the spokesperson of the World Health Organization, WHO, in Geneva, Switzerland. He joins us now over the phone from Switzerland. Thank you very much for joining us. Good morning. What does this new strategy to reduce cholera deaths by 90% by 2030 entail, and how exactly do you intend to achieve this target?
This is exactly what more than 40 organizations are discussing, trying to see really how to make this roadmap as practically possible as we can, because there are lots of challenges. As you say, what we see in recent years is that cholera is really coming back in same places that are already lacking infrastructure, that places that are stricken by poverty, by lack of access to clean water. We see that this disease that is completely preventable is always coming in the same hotspot. How can we make sure that water and sanitation efforts are done in a more concerted and harmonized way in those areas, so we don't have to respond every year to the number of outbreaks, but we try to prevent and reduce the number of infections?
Tariq, this is definitely not the first effort to eradicate cholera. We recall the WASH program, whose impact over the years have been very minimal. And as we speak, we have cholera outbreaks in parts of the DRC and Nigeria, northeast Nigeria to be precise. So how different really will this new strategy be?
We have to recognize that many countries have done a lot of effort in that regard, but you have places where there is a conflict ongoing, where there is destruction, where there is no investment in water and sanitation because simply governments are not functioning or have no money to function with. And this is something that we have to see also how we can get money for this roadmap, where this money will come from to help those hotspots, so those areas that we see every year having cholera outbreaks. And then also to increase disease surveillance so we can tackle outbreaks at the early stage using vaccines, but also using traditional methods of treatment.
The roadmap is looking to also deploy the use of oral vaccine. Is this the panacea to end cholera deaths?
The oral cholera vaccine has been used in the past couple of years since we got two vaccines that are pre-qualified. We just finished, for example, oral cholera vaccination in Nigeria, in Borno State. We also delivered several rounds of oral cholera vaccinations in South Sudan, as well in some regions of Somalia, and that it's not only in Africa. The vaccine is a very, very important tool that came to our disposal recently, and it will continue to be an important instrument we have to combat outbreaks. But however, we should not forget that the main thing is the access to clean water and infrastructure.
Tariq, you just touched on infrastructure. Many governments in Africa are actually struggling to meet with infrastructure needs. How are you going to get them involved in this new effort?
We want really governments to adhere to this roadmap, to accept it, to work on it. We want really that there is more focus to do water and sanitation to infrastructure. So we really hope that this is not really coming from one side. It's really everyone who is concerned, countries concerned, organizations, governmental or non-governmental, who work in this area, donor community, to all pull together and say that this really is not disease that should be among us in 21st century.